Spit it out. Oh, shit. You stick your hand up first. Grab some tongue. This should feel better. What it is. Yeah, my last three got the brown stash. So, selection. I'm ready for your first question. I'm you for something. But you gotta open the show. Open show, body. You know, that's his name. Come on, MC. Listen, we need you to get that done. You know, get it out. I like the glasses. Yes, glasses. A little dimension, you know, it's not interesting to look at, you know. Is this the first time I've seen you with those? No, I don't think so. I don't know. I had when I had the hair wrap on, I think I did. I don't know. You did put on the, I don't remember. With the hair wrap. You put them on, was it those? Yeah. I put in a picture, but you mainly wear shades, so. So my first time, I thought you were right. Are we ready? Clear, right? I have been pulling up my glasses all the time when we go somewhere to look at a menu. And then we pull those out. I'm like, you wear glasses? You know. I'm ashamed of all issues. You ready? Yes. All right, here we go. 3, 2. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Doctored Up podcast. We're excited to be here today. Thank you for joining us. We have an exciting episode for you today. We will introduce ourselves to you so that you can get to know exactly who we are and follow along in this journey that we are on. So today's podcast features none other than Dr. Kat here to my immediate right, Dr. Fee to my far right, hey, y'all. And yours truly, Dr. Bob. We're going to have an exciting day. Yes, we are. Yes? Yes. So ladies, what's on store today?
Okay, so we're just introducing ourselves to the people. So as you all know, we've just come up with a list of questions and we're gonna pitch into each other and just see what we come up with. Learn a little bit about each other and share with you guys a little bit about ourselves. So the first question we have is, who are you? What's your story? Introduce yourselves to the people. Dr. Bob.
Wow. Who am I and what's my story? Well, guys, Dr. Bob is originally from Mississippi, from a small town, not even a town, from the rural area of Yazoo County, Mississippi. I grew up on a cotton plantation where I actually picked cotton by hand, not by choice, but by force. And that kind of really...
That don't sound good. What year was this? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, it was certainly by force.
Yeah.
But...
give people a little context.
Well, absolutely.
Pick cotton.
My family were sharecroppers, and we lived on a cotton plantation where everything was owned by the owner, which of course was a white gentleman. And my entire family was kind of forced into that way of life because we lived on their property and really kind of had no choice in the matter. It wasn't like some of us could have worked on the plantations and others went out to find employment in other places. We were kind of forced by nature of being born into that family in that particular space to work on the cotton plantation. I was born in 1966, so this was during the civil rights movement, so people who looked like me didn't have a lot of rights back then. So I know many of us have heard the horror stories of how sharecroppers were basically robbed out of their money, and no matter how hard you worked or how much you did get accomplished, you just could not get ahead, and that was the plight for my family until we were able to escape that, which was long after I became a teenager, later in high school, where we were able to escape that. And I make fun of it nowadays when I tell people that we moved up from the plantation to the ghetto. That was a move up for us. Yeah, I mean, it sounds funny today, right? but it was very serious for
Yeah.
us, and it was an accomplishment for the family, really, during that time.
Yeah.
It shaped who I am today, and many of the decisions that I've made in my life. And I would think if I had to point back to a season in my life that really had the most impact on who I am today, it would be the years that I spent on the cotton plantation.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
So bring us on a little further along. You made it from the
Plantation.
from the sharecropping and the cotton picking, and then where did you go from there? Your family made it out of that situation into a little bit better situation. Where did you go there, personally and professionally?
Well, our family moved up to the projects where I finished high school and was able to get a scholarship to go to college. And really, college was that next major thing that had a significant impact on my life and shaped who I am today. I went to a UNCF school where they would not allow you to fail. Growing up on a cotton plantation meant we went to rural schools as well, and they were not the best of schools, and I was not the best of students. So when I went to college, I found out quickly that I wasn't properly prepared. But my alma mater, Tougaloo College in Jackson, Mississippi, would not allow you to fail. They continued to work with you. They gave you what you need. I remember participating in the Upward Bound program where they provided some assisting help. Yeah, college really kind of shaped my life, my new life, I like to say. Once I left the plantation, my new life started in college. And because of some of the experiences that I had in college.
It's the one.
Yeah, I mean, very simple life, right?
Yeah, the
Very simple
1900s,
life.
honey.
Look.
The 20th.
But yeah, my alma mater reshaped me. They molded me into the young man that I am today, and prepared me for life in a different zone, if you will. And that's why I'm here today. So because of my schooling at the alma mater, I fell in love with school. I fell in love with college. For the first time in my life, I thought, I could actually have dreams and do something different, anything that I wanted to do. Growing up on the plantation, I just knew there was just one thing for me, which was working in the fields. I didn't know of anything else, didn't hear any dreams or any aspirations growing up in that environment. And I just had none, unfortunately. I just knew that I could work on the fields. I knew that I was good at working in the fields, and that was my life, as far as I knew at that time. But when I got to Tougaloo, they showed me the world. They opened up so many things for me and showed me how to dream and to aspire to be basically anything I want. So I continued to go to school. I had a number of jobs and professions over the years. But I guess the two major professions that I chose for my life were the military, where I served as an engineering officer. Black officer in the military was a story within itself, but to be in a field that few blacks are in engineering, really kind of made me somewhat of an isolated creature, if you will, because there were few of us in the service. But after my 8.5-year time in the military, I decided to be an educator, and I spent nearly 30 years in education.
Wow.
During that time, multiple degrees, master's public administration, specialist in education, and finally a doctoral degree in education. But I really kind of harken it back to Tougaloo, where they inspired me and encouraged me and basically told me that I can dream and I have a right to dream. So I've been dreaming ever since.
Very cool. Thank you for sharing.
Absolutely.
Dr. Bob, Dr. John,
Boy.
what is your story?
Well, you are you, right? I thought, because I never define myself by what I do, you know, because people are like, oh, I'm educated, we're not doing that. So I thought that I'm a spiritual being having a physical experience, a human experience. That was my thought process with the who are you, right? But to know more about me, born and raised in Dallas, Texas, Oak Cliff, East Keys, if you know, you know. And it was a hood. I would say we were like one step from poverty, you know. Half of the places I lived in, like in my surrounding area, were boarded up. You know, we were in a few remaining apartments at the time, and so just had like a less than privileged upbringing. But moving from there, I came to Atlanta to Mark Brown for my bachelor's, and from there, just kept going to school. It was something that was easy for me, so I thought, why not do it? And then people were paying for it, so why not get the degrees? So then you just start racking them up. I always wanted to be a doctor, so I did. And I don't know, that's pretty much it. I guess some of the things that are true to me is I have a love for animals. That is a thing for me. No children, but I have a calling to take care of animals. That's always been a thing. I think I was an animal in my past life. I had to be. Probably was several animals in my past life. So right now I have 2 dogs and a cat. That's about it. I mean, there's so much more I could say and get into, but you know, that's who I am to my core. Animal lover, very educated, always want to learn, and definitely know and I am in tune with exactly my spiritual side. You know, and I know this is a human experience. I'm just trying to navigate that and figure out how to stay true to my spiritual self while understanding how to, you know, live on this earth as a human. So that's how I feel like the experiences that I'm having. I think that's more who I am than what I do.
Great, thank you, Dr. Cat.
Thank you. And Dr. Fee.
Yes.
What
are you?
I'm glad y'all asked. It all started back in pictures.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so you'll know we have a few things in common. We're all Southern, so I was also born in Texas, born and raised in a little bitty town called Orange, Texas. It's right on the border of Texas and Louisiana. So we all have very Southern upbringings, very humble beginnings. We all share that. Katrina said she was a step up from poverty. I recall the story of something my dad said. I shared it with Dr. Kat the other day. And it makes me laugh every time I think about it. Because when you're young, you don't have this concept of poor, rich, until you start sort of getting exposed to things. And so I remember asking my dad, Daddy, are we poor? He said, girl, everybody you know is poor. I'll laugh every time I'm there. And it's like, it's he didn't qualify. He didn't like it.
Well, he didn't try to fool you.
He didn't say, "Oh, but you can be anything you want to be."
So yeah, you're poor.
It's funny. It was so funny, but yeah. So very humble beginnings, but from very hardworking people who taught me how to work hard. And so my parents wanted the world for me, as most parents do. And for as much as they could, they exposed me to what they could. And but really, I didn't know people with college degrees other than my teachers. Wanting more out of life and wanting to get there, it's just, that's a harder road to hold when you don't have that, you know, path kind of laid out for you. So I began that journey of, I was a solid student in, you know, K-12 and then transitioned to college. Had some false starts with college, but eventually made my way to Georgetown University in DC. Lived there for about 8 years. Finished there. And something we also share is that we just kept going to school. I got my master's as well in education, well, higher education administration, and then a doctorate in education as well. So much of that had to do with the fact that I worked on my college campus in the registrar's office, and I just continued to work in college settings. and so in administrative roles, and then transitioned to the classroom 2015. And so loved that so much, I was doing that on the side, that when the opportunity presented itself for me to do it full time, I took that. So it was something I really enjoyed. But in terms of who I am, that's what I do with who I am. I'm a mother. I have an awesome, almost 16-year-old daughter. I'm a friend, a daughter, a granddaughter. You know, I'm very close to my family. Cousins, a huge family that mostly resides in Texas, but and Katrina is my adopted cousin. We share our maiden names, and both from Texas. So that in
gotta be related.
In Black folks world,
I'm
that's
sure
equals
the
cousin.
same man owned all of us at one point. So we got the same last name he owned us.
Yeah,
And we
so,
look like
probably on Bobby's plantations, so it was probably the same person.
we just
but-
migrated to Texas. Yeah.
So that in a nutshell is a little bit of insight into who I am. My hope is that you'll get to know a little bit more about us as we do more of these and move on and have more conversations about each other and just about life. That's what this is about. We're three doctors just talking about stuff. Like
Yeah.
This is like so you can get so when we talk about certain things, you'll see why we approach it from different ways, because even though we have a lot in common, we are not the same. And I may answer a question in a different way that they may answer, but you'll see why, because we'll talk about our upbringing and how we look at things. And you'll see how we answer these questions.
Yes. All right. So the next question I had was,
Well, I think the most surprising thing would be, given the fact that I grew up on a cotton plantation, not really knowing what the world had for anyone, I eventually became head over the opera house in my graduate degree, my first master's degree program, which was in music performance. I was a vocal performance with a piano minor, and I got to participate in and manage an opera house in college. So I think that's, can you imagine me in tights? And just singing opera, absolutely.
I need the footage. Like,
The lost
right, we need that footage.
Yeah.
Dr. Katrina,
I have no idea. I'm gonna have to pass until you do yours. I don't know. Some people don't know about me. I'm so open. I say everything. I don't know. I'm saying people don't know.
I don't know what would surprise. I know just because I know you, like things that you've shared that have shocked the heck out of
Okay,
me.
well then tell me. Maybe I know my answer.
No, I won't.
I don't know. And then I say stuff all the time. People be like,
It's mostly
they'll be shocked
things that
when
you've overcome, and I think that's your story. to share. I think that's for you to share. I can make it like, oh yeah,
Those still see.
right.
Not too soon.
That's for you to share.
Oh, I know what you mean.
Suffice it to say, all of us obviously, but just Dr. Cat has overcome a lot, and she's obviously very well adjusted and well put together. So I think people are surprised when they learn your
When they
full
learn some
story.
stuff, yeah.
So yeah.
We'll probably get into that later.
When I was thinking about the answer to this question, what would most people be surprised to learn about me? There was a couple things that came to mind, but one, and it made me laugh, is that I think my inner dialogue would shock most people.
Oh, I did too.
I keep a lot of things. I'm like Susie Sunshine for sure, but I keep a lot of things close to my chest. But I'm a thinker, like I'm very analytical. So I think if people had just a little bit of insight to like the things that cross my mind, I think that would shock and awe people. Like, she thought that, because I don't think it represents maybe what I present all the time.
Yeah, like what they see.
Yeah.
I can hardly wait.
And this came up on an interview recently where it's like, what was the question? Whatever the question was, it made me think, and I was like, oh, I feel like I go into professional situations one way. I'm very, again, very positive and very, effervescent, all that. And then people, take that as a weakness, take your, bubbly personality and so they run smack dab into the other version of me.
Right.
And it happens inevitably, like in almost every scenario that I find myself in. And so I had to pause and like, well, that, wherever you go, there you are. I'll take me everywhere I go.
Yeah.
So if I keep running into that, is that something I need to adjust or change, but
No.
that's been consistent. Like, I'm like,
you know what I mean?
until I'm not, and it's like a switch flips, and it's whole different version. But I don't like to, but she shows up when she has to, and so that's just what that
Yes,
is.
you can get it.
Yes.
So,
Anybody can get it.
everybody can get it.
Yeah, so, but yeah, I like to lead with kindness, I like to lead with light, and lead with just, love. And I think we can, if whatever context we're in, whether it's a personal relationship, friendship, or professional, let's just have a productive sort of, but when people, take liberties sometimes, you have to
Too many liberties.
jerk the chain.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pump the brakes.
So my third question for you guys, and for all of us, what advice would you give your 25-year-old self?
For me, it would be easy. I would tell my 25-year-old self there is a such thing as generational wealth. And I don't know why I didn't know it back then, but I was kind of a part of that generational wealth for someone else. Growing up on that cotton plantation, I had to think about the fact that somebody handed this down to this man that I dealt with.
Yes.
And the person before him probably owned slaves. And they just passed that wealth down to their family members. And really, those people didn't even have to work for it. They were just born into the right family and they were automatically wealthy. So as I thought back on those experiences, which I do oftentimes, they still impact my life, obviously. I think about what was the mechanism that, outside of slavery, what was the mechanism that made them wealthy? And that was ownership of property and land. So I would tell my 25-year-old self, buy as much land as possible. Skip that nice little 1974 Chevrolet that you had and trade that thing in and get you an acre of land or, some type of parcel of land and just build it.
Yeah.
That's one thing that is technically not being created. So there's only a finite amount of it. Those who own it own money. They own wealth that they can pass down to their children and their children's children. So that's the advice I would give my 25-year-old self. Buy land and think about generational wealth.
Thank you, Dr. Bob. Dr. Cat, what would you tell your 25-year-old self? I mean, you're not that far off 25. So a couple years ago, like what would you
A
say?
couple years ago, I would have said to myself,
Right.
I wrote it because, I would say don't let others decide, you decide. Don't wait to be chosen, don't wait to change. Don't wait for change, decide and make it happen. You create your reality. Don't give in to the notion of it is what it is. It is what you say it is, and that's what it will be. You never run out of time. So that's what I'm saying.
Thank you. So succinct.
And you.
What I would tell my 25-year-old self is to leave on the good foot. Leave any situation that is not serving you.
Like in a hurry.
And I'm a big, at this stage of my life especially, I'm big about seeking the Lord about direction and guidance and what happens next, the Holy Spirit and all that. And it's something I've grown into. So I'm not saying just leave situations without consulting the Lord, but I'm saying when it's clear that a situation is not serving you, whether that's a friendship or a romantic relationship, a marriage, a professional situation, leave. And a lot of times we wait on this, ribbon in the sky, God is in the sky. When God already spoke, He really is already spoken. He spoke in that book. And if you read the word, a lot of times He'll direct your path. He says that specifically, He'll direct your path. Not being afraid to leap and not being afraid to leave situations, trusting that God has you and your future. Again, He speaks to that in the word, in His hands. And so I have certainly been guilty of staying in situations much longer than I should. And so waiting on this big, oh God, I'm just waiting, man. God's like, child, I thought about that like eons ago. putting your life before the Lord and being in prayer, but understanding that it's okay and it's very much warranted to leave situations that aren't serving you, because time, again, finite. You know, you cannot get it back, and so when you spend years in a place, a decade in a place, in a relationship, in a friendship that is, you know, gnawing away at your, you know, soul or your happiness or your joy or peace, you know, that's just not what God intended. And so I would say definitely leave situations that aren't serving you with completeness, you know. So yeah, those are my 3 questions that I wrote.
Okay, so.
I wrote another one because Katrina, Dr. Cat was on me about my question. She thought my question about introducing ourselves was like a throwaway. And so I came up with another question. I'll ask another one.
Go ahead.
I didn't know what was the most recent thing that you learned that became a game changer for you?
Oh, I know.
Okay, what do you mean?
So you know.
Well, I just realized this when I was in Colorado.
Oh.
But remember I kept talking about how, and I said this to you too, he was like, we should go back to Atlanta. And I was like, I don't know, you know, that's like, so I remember I kept praying to God and I was like, you know, what should I do? You know, I'm gonna wait for you to tell me what to do. And God was like, you decide and I'll bless whatever you do. What are you waiting on? Like, you decide and I'll bless it. And I thought, you know, all this time in my life where I was like, I'm waiting on God, because I remember when I would leave from one place to the next and I'd be like, I'm waiting for God to tell me it's time for me to leave. You know what I mean? And I was gonna say I bought into that. That might offend people, but I don't care. I bought into that because I don't believe that to be true. You know, God gives you free will and He gives you the desires of your heart. Now you figure out what that is. You know, you can align with Him or not. But if you're of God, He's going to bless it. You know, He's going to, you know, of course, if you're doing the right thing. But so that's the thing. I was waiting around. I've done this before in my life in the past, and it took me 6 years to go somewhere. It wasn't a horrible place, but I did have a desire to leave. But I was like, no, I have to stay here. Like I was torturing myself. Oh no, I have to sit here because I have to get that word that says I can leave. And then finally he was like, no, you decide. If you want to go here, then I'm going to bless that. But you get up and go, and then let me, you know, do my magic. You know what I'm saying? Instead of like, so that was the thing I learned that took me, that was like, boom, that's the thing. And it was the most recent thing that I learned.
You know, that's interesting. I love that answer, and I relate to that experience. I was there to share that with you. And I think the piece of knowledge that I've gained recently that is extremely impactful for how I will conduct myself moving forward is not everyone who needs help are ready to receive it.
Or want it.
No.
Or want it.
No. Or even though they need it.
Yeah, or even though they need it. Yeah. Not everyone who needs help
but don't think they need
wants it. So, you know, for me, I see myself as a kind-hearted person, one who would give you the shirt off his back. If there is a need that someone has, and I think I can help them fill it, then I'm 10 toes down.
Yeah, you're ready to do it.
Be right there to help. You know, just a solution-focused kind of guy.
Yes.
But everyone is not ready for solutions.
No.
Not just your solution, but everyone is not ready for any solution. They're just happy where they are. They want to be in that zone. I say that misery zone for a minute, and however long that minute is for them, they just want to be there. They don't want any help, not just my help or your help. So I don't take it personally. I've learned that, you know, people just are who they are. They want what they want when they want it. Even though you see that they could benefit from something, they may or may not be willing to receive it. So that for me, it was an eye-opening experience that taught me, hey, you just sit back and wait until they ask for help, and then you help them. Okay?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's been the most recent thing.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, mine is definitely more personal to
Okay.
So my journey, my story, and it's so interesting. You can get to this, this big age and still be learning. So just these huge pivotal paradigm shifting things.
Yep.
So for me, I think the biggest thing for me most recently has been learning just how much trauma and childhood trauma just can really impact your entire journey.
Everything.
Unless you address it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I got very still and very quiet. It was a quietness that was thrust upon me. I had to be still. I had no choice. So I had to just kind of be still and reflective and asking God, well, God, how did I get here? And he was like, I'm glad you asked.
Right.
Oh, that beautiful baby.
Yeah.
So it was like basically walking me back into my steps of being fully grown, mature woman, and then young adulthood, and then child, and this thinking like, oh my goodness, that moment, that thing that happened, like impacted every decision I made after that. And I was just like so mind blown. And so it speaks to the importance of really putting your hands in the Lord's hands and letting Him heal those broken places.
Yeah.
Because we
make
think,
a decision from that.
right, and we think we're healed because our feet are still moving.
Right.
And I'm growing, this way and this way. We think we're healing because of the time.
No.
We're coping, we're surviving. There's scar tissue over those places, but every decision we make can be as a result of those hurts or those. So it really does behoove us to to get still, call a thing a thing, let your heart break, whatever gotta happen, fall apart. So God put you back together in His way, because for one, I'm thankful to have gotten the revelation. But I think, oh my goodness, how much further, I won't say how much further, but how different would things have been had I gotten that revelation sooner.
Right.
Something else I would tell my 25-year-old self. But that was a big revelation for me as of late, like in the last year, I would say.
It's important.
Yes.
Important.
I thought so too, Dr. Bob. So those are my 4 questions.
Okay.
I get extra credit because I did 4 questions.
Okay. So my question is, name 3 things about yourself that anyone who really knows you would agree on. So if anybody who really knows you heard the 3 things you say, they all would say, oh yeah, that's true about her, or oh, that's true about him. So what are they? Dr. Bob.
Okay.
Yeah, I ain't going to no water. We've been trying to do this water. What you say?
I think what I've heard back mostly from people is that I'm very even-keeled and that I give great advice.
That's that Libra moon.
I'm very, I give great advice. I'm very pragmatic, practical. So, which aligns with I took a spiritual gifts assessment. So aligns with that. I'm an encourager, an exhorter. So I'm very much a person's cheerleader. So they would say that in terms of, I guess, as a friend or as a family member, that's how I am. People see me as ambitious, and I don't necessarily see myself that way. I think people can kind of project it onto you when they see you. Oh, you got a cool job, or you got you've gotten so much education. I don't necessarily see myself that way because I never really saw myself those things like degrees and work situations as important for me. It was more the first thing I ever wanted to be was a mom. So everything else kind of was secondary. So I didn't really saw myself as ambitious, but I've heard that said about me. One thing that people say that was always such a huge compliment to me was oh, you're such a lady. You're such a lady. And I love that. I just love that outward.
That's good because I'm late now.
No, but I like that one. That just hangs to mine. And I'll give y'all a bonus that I'm witty after that.
She's a Leo rising. That's what we found out.
She had to know.
Yeah, I had to know. So look, and she's a Leo rising. Like, she's a Gemini, and I'm a Gemini moon. And I was like, we mentioned so many things because we have a lot of our signs are all but I got Taurus and me, and she got the Libra.
Something she explained to me
yesterday, and she's very balanced and
yes.
she can be balanced and harm.
So, and this came up yesterday because she's like, I know she has that fight in her wife.
Yeah, and I get some questions sometimes, but and me, I'll be like,
there's only certain
but I know it's in
situations.
there. I've seen it. I've seen it.
Because there's only certain situations that, for me, I don't even want to give that kind of energy to anything.
Right.
Like, I can get with you.
If you need it.
I can get with you.
Yeah. But see, that's not what
I like how I feel after I do it.
Yeah.
And I feel like, right. I don't like it. So I'd rather just.
I be like, I can at least do this. So you give me a reason to do this. Let me do.
I'm gonna exit stage left, but my chair will be spinning. You'll be like, "Where'd she go?"
Yeah, see, and that's me too. Like, he'll let you know. You'll look up and be like, "Where'd she go?"
Yeah,
I'm gonna remember. If like, you leave, I left. You know, and I don't even have a conversation about it. I just be like, "Oh, I'm done here. Let me just, But I like it. I like it, and I suppress it because it's not always appropriate. But I love to give it. So don't make it. I love it.
Now, as a parent, that is where you will see it. Like I'm sure
that the mother from
I've had to deal with teachers and other children, like that, or like situations that transpired with my grandfather. Last summer, I had to really get it. You just, I think it's when it's defenseless people. If it's something that impacted me, I can remove myself from the situation. So I don't have to be impacted by it, whatever the situation is. But when it's impacted by a child, it's like helpless,
Yeah, I don't like
our vulnerable populations,
yeah.
I'm gonna
jump in there.
For sure. So.
Well, for me, people who know me would say about me are one, that I'm a leader. I think that is, I don't know, it just kind of goes back to my desire to just get it done, especially when I'm working on a team, and I feel as though whomever's supposed to be leading isn't doing such a good job or we're not getting anywhere. But I think it just kind of comes out naturally that, look, I sat here and listened to you guys go back and forth. I kind of thought through this process already. I see the end. I see the path. Let's go. And I just kind of naturally take charge and try to lead. But many people have told me that even before I open my mouth, that my disposition says that I'm a leader.
Sure.
And I don't know, but I've heard it more than one time, so it's at least something to consider. Sure. It may actually be true. So I do feel like I like to get it done. So it could come over as, a true leader. Another thing I think they would say is he's kind, but I'm a real patient guy, very kind guy by nature. But like you said earlier, the experiences we've had in our lives stick with us. And there's a little, I would say some scar tissue, maybe just a scab over something. And certain things really kind of take me there. And I will quickly throw kindness away and really, really let you have it. So
Brene Brown said clarity is kind.
Yeah. Clarity is kind.
I can be more clear.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I believe that too. I believe clarity is kindness. Because you have to be clear in what you desire from people and how you want them to treat you. You can't give them one picture and receive something off the wall and then, But for me, I'm kind, but I think is what they would say.
Sure.
So besides leader and kindness, I think most people will also say that I'm a man of principle. I live on principles, and I oftentimes think about why people do what they do. And I think about the principle behind it, because those principles will continue to show themselves in our decisions and the way we conduct ourselves and our lives and, what we live by. Those are important by me. So if I think your principles don't align with mine, then that's something I'm going to cut off. Not that you've done something specifically that is so terribly bad that I'm going to cut you off. But I can see your principles, and those principles don't align with mine. I know there is going to be plenty of days where conflicts will occur. And it's going to be serious because principles are important to who we are and how we conduct ourselves and the decisions that we make. So I'm a man of principle, and if I think your principles do not align with mine, that's that. You know, you may be a great person, but you're not for me or my circle. So yeah, I'm a man of principle.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's dope.
I would say that.
Yeah. I don't know you like that, so the jury's still.
Just because I'm kind.
Don't get that started.
No, I just say like I'm kind. I'm not nice. I think people take nice as like, oh, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
No, no. Katrina, Dr. Pat,
you have to ask.
I'll say this.
That's what I was saying.
Dr. Pat is not nice.
No, I would say nice. I'm not mean.
She's a
But
very
I'm not.
giving, loving
I'm very
person.
giving. I think I am.
But she is not
I think we have
nice.
No, I wouldn't say that, and I don't aspire to be either. So,
Yeah, that makes sense.
but I'm not mean.
Did you catch it?
But I ain't nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's be clear. Let's be
And I say that too. That's people. All right. I would say I march to my own beat. I do what I want to do, and I don't mind people's opinions, but I get irritated if I didn't ask. You know, if I be like, because I rarely be like, what do you think I should, you know, I don't know. I rarely ask that question. And when people,
You've never.
I don't. And then people, okay, and people be like, you should, immediately I'd be like, who are they trying to? I know you're not trying to tell me what to do. Like, no. And the thing is, I'm not above asking. You know, it's hard. I'm not above it, and I'm not above taking people's opinions, because I sometimes be like, okay, I'm at a standstill. I really need to get some feedback. And there's only a few people on this earth that I'm going to ask you anyway. So don't offer. That pisses me off. So I do my own thing, is what I'm really pretty much trying to say. And they're like, oh, don't tell me. No, don't give me your opinion. I get offended. I'm quick to say no. I'm usually no. The answer is no. I ain't doing that. I always be like, I ain't doing that.
Yes.
But I could be convinced to a yes. But it's going to begin with no.
Right.
I don't even need to get it out sometime. No. Because I can already tell I'm not going to do that. And then my last thing is like, I even tell the truth. Like, but well, I'm not going to tell a lot all the time. That's not what I meant. But I usually, I wait sometimes, because I know sometimes I don't have a filter. And I know sometimes I say things really harsh, and not that I don't consider people's feelings, but sometimes I be like, I'm not going to do that. So I'm not going to give you any answers. It's going to be like,
yeah.
Like, yeah, like I'm going to agree to a point. And then people like, what are you really thinking? You really want to know?
You really want.
And then I'm going to give it to you. You know what I mean? So but I do that because I know I've been working on having a filter. And I know sometimes I don't have one. And I hate sometimes when I say things and people look shocked. They'll look at me and I'll be thinking, well, what did I say? And then people come back to me later and say, well, you said this to me one day. And I'm like, well, say something, because I don't filter it, because I'll be like, if you're my friend, I feel like you know I'm not going to filter it. So don't, you know what I'm saying? So people be like, oh, you got a filter. I don't take that as a compliment. I don't mind, because I like everything about me, to be honest. I don't really care about all that. But I do consider other people. But people will be like, oh, you don't have a filter. And I'm like, oh, I'm parking now. But I'm working on it. So I think everybody would say that about me. But I don't do it in a mean way either, because I don't know that. You know what I mean? I don't feel like I do it in a mean way. I could, but you'll know I'm going off on you, because But I don't do it to people that I really know.
And you're not mean.
Yeah, I don't want to be. I think people call me mean. They have a negative vocabulary. I feel like I really do. I feel like there's another way to say the way that I am, but I don't think it's mean.
I think our society and our culture in particular, where it's very polite, but at the cost of honesty.
Yeah.
And you're just a very honest person. So you lead with how you feel. Yeah. And I think I've probably been
people
polite when I should have been more.
Yeah, and the people be like, oh, well, why did you say it like that? Well, why not? Right. You know what I mean? It was like, we always tiptoeing around stuff.
Yeah, so as I've gotten older and matured, mature yays be yays or nays be nays. Like, say what you mean or don't say anything.
Yeah, you don't say.
But
I won't say a word.
To placate people, like, that's just, you're setting yourself up for failure. Yeah.
I think that's interesting, Dr. P, because, well, one, people don't mistake me for being overly polite.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not mean,
No,
but I try to be truthful.
sure.
And many people have said to me that, ooh, that was harsh.
Sure.
When I thought, no, that was just the truth.
People don't want the truth, and that's something I've learned today. People don't want the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And I notice other cultures, though. I notice that, when you have the opportunity to interact with other cultures, they're not walking around cheesing and smiling all the time. But once you get to know them, walk up, they're very warm. But honest, and it's not. There's not all this, gentility. Yeah, but that's fake. It's just you know, it's kind of with what they feel, what they think, and like they're not just walking around with a plastic smile on their face.
Yeah, it's a frown. Everybody's talking about frown. Like high school people in high school, y'all know they be like, she frown. I frown all the time.
But see, I
look like this.
We speak like you're supposed to speak everyone speaks.
That's the real reason to do that.
And so
you don't wake up with them.
But yeah, so I think that there's something to be said when you give what you feel like, and you're not so concerned with how it lands. The other end. It's just honest. It's not about being ugly.
And it's not mean. It's honest.
It's never authentic.
They just be like, whoa, like, I didn't think you would just say what you feel. It's what you had.
Yeah.
Don't say what you thought you were going to say.
Yeah.
Okay, so my next question. What is one thing that used to be a belief for you that now you realize was a misconception?
Mm-hmm.
I'll go first if y'all want to see what I'm talking about.
Well, I have some things that I'm going to pan around on that one.
Go ahead. Yeah, I got a few. I got quite a few. Because you just learn as you go. But what do we have? We only have to say one.
Well, I'll give you this one. As a child, I've been told that you can do anything you want to do. You can do anything. You can, whatever you want to be, you can be.
Right.
I think every teacher out there, thank goodness, have told me that you can be anything you want to be. And then, even when we read scripture, we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us.
Right.
So I used to take that and say, okay, if I want to be a seamstress, I can be that.
Mm-hmm.
But I come to realize that I don't have the skills, the patience, the vision to be someone like that. I can't be that. And I had a conversation with another friend of mine who we talked about through Christ. I said, well, Christ had 12 helpers. They did something to help him, right? So that let me know that, I can get it done, but I might need some help. I might need a Dr. Fee to help me with this issue, or I might need a Dr. Cat to help me with this issue, but I can get it done. I don't have to be able to do all things within this form of a person that I have here, but I have access to anything that I need to get anything done that I want to get done. So I just kind of changed the way I looked at that I guess that declaration of being able to do anything you want to do. But I learned that you don't have to have it all within your frame of a body. That you have access to all of the support and help that you need to get any of that stuff done.
Yeah.
So that was being well connected.
We have to help each other. It's rarely anything you can really do all by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you can do it by yourself, you still need support, even if it's mental and emotional support. Like, you still need help regardless. Mm-hmm. Even if you don't physically need somebody to do something for you.
Yeah. So not within this frame of a body, but within the body of Christ and the support that He has placed around me, I can make it done. I can do all things. Yes.
Yeah. But you didn't internalize it like me personally with no help. I can do it by myself. I don't need nobody else.
Well, not anymore.
That's the part.
You did it first, right?
That's part of the walk. This walk.
Yeah.
It's part of why we get the nuances. It's not just black and white. It's not just black and white. It's when we first start those things. You get the, it's very nuanced. But
so what would you say? What's a belief now?
It's so big. I was trying to think.
I know.
What I would choose. I think the one that's probably top of mind is that when you're younger, you just have a much more altruistic sort of way of looking at the world. Like if you work hard, if you are a nice person, if you're good things will just you'll end up in the right rooms and the right people and the right. If you work, people will see your hard work and and
elevate you.
So you start realizing that there are people who don't like your energy, if they house a different energy, they see your energy as a threat, or they see your energy as something to be squashed.
Yeah, damn that life. We gotta damn that.
So you go, then you start realizing, okay, that's not this Bible was talking about is like true, like principalities and forces are working, forces of darkness working, like actively working. Yeah, and so that was something that I had to come to realize as I got older and was in different relationships and
that straight
roles. It's not, but the other part that I got a little further down the road is that, but it was all for my good. It was for my faith. It made to the brain. It added something to my tooling that I needed for the journey. So it was nothing with God is ever lost. It's nothing's ever a throwaway. It's no weapon formed shall prosper, but it's working for my good. Yeah. In all ways. And so I think that was just like having that bubble burst. Like I'm not just like I'm the coolest. Like why the MVP? Like why y'all want me? Like I'm just worried, do my part, but when you have a life, and I'm still perplexed by it in a lot of ways. The only explanation is that God already told me that this is what expected. But when you just sit and think like, well, what? Why? And there's no why. It's just, we're gonna get into this because I feel like this thing is just rolling around.
Well, it's funny because my answer is very close to that. Because we've been having this conversation. Yeah. Because we all are kind of at the same point right now in life.
Transition.
We are in transition, and I learned, but transition from a lot of things.
Yeah, a lot of things.
Specifically work, right? And what we want to do with our life. But I know I kept it light. I thought about what we've been talking about. And I'm like, the one thing I learned, because people used to come into my office and I had to tell them, because I used to believe this too, that I can just go to work, do my job, and people will leave me alone. Right. Like, I'm just going to go in, I'm going to do my job, I'm going to eat my lunch, I'm going to clock out, I'm going to keep it moving. They don't leave you alone. Like, they make you their business. They don't mind their own business. Like, they see you're happy. Oh, no, you're not social enough. Oh, you're not doing this. Oh, I get my work done in a certain amount of time. It don't matter. We're here at 5. You stay at 5. But no, we can leave at 4, but we're all hanging around. Well, hang around, but I'm leaving at 4. And then I become the enemy. You know what I mean? Like, those little things like that. Like, I come in, I do what I got to do, and then someone finds a reason to nitpick at it. You can't just go to work. And so, when people would come in, they were so frustrated in their job, and they would say to me, I'm just going to put work in. I'm just, no, you're not. I had to tell them, no, you're not. No, they're not going to let you do your work. So you either ignore them, figure out how to get through that, or you leave, because it's not going to happen. So don't ever think I'm going to be able to go to work and just, absolutely not. And that was an absolute misconception that I had, because I truly believe if I came to work and kept my mouth shut and didn't do anything, they found me. They will find me. When I was literally coming to work, be quiet all day, and say words to anybody, they will still find me somehow. Through email, through phone call, through walking by. They found me. And it still disrupted my day. So again, I had to realize also that's something internal that I had to figure out my consistency to get through that, because now I knew wherever I go, that's what it's going to be. Yeah. So I don't believe I could just go to work and do it. No, you can't.
And
I don't care who you are, you cannot.
and it wasn't even just for work for me. It was just something else I had written down was just that a misconception is that I have is that people are normal. Everyone's normal. Everyone's sane. Everyone's
That's totally
weird.
That's a
mentally
misconception.
healthy. I was like, no, people are showing up in your relationships and your workspaces, like dealing with all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
And you know how Tabitha Brown says, if you're having a bad day, don't go messing up somebody else.
Exactly.
Some people are making their business too.
That's the whole thing. Yeah, you waiting to be like, good morning.
Right.
It's like, oh, you on a good morning?
Yeah.
And they're not? No, they gotta greet you.
I definitely, so that was, and to understand again that people were very, very much intentionally set on, pulling damage.
And they really calculated with it. When you find out that this person is plotting against you, you get to see like, oh, in order to get to this point, you have to have done this, and that.
Well,
you have to have thought about me. You have to orchestrate this. You have to cut me out of certain things. You have to say great things about me.
Yes.
And now we all come to this point where I'm thinking it's this one thing. No, we've been doing this whole time. And when you find
when that curtain gets drawn back, it can be very much like it's like I was like,
yeah.
And it gets really weird when it's in a relationship. Like,
yeah, when the people you've been dating and you realize they never liked you the whole time, or they really didn't like you, and the point is they have you trapped into this relationship, right, where they could do certain things to you, and they only have that access to you if they continue that relationship with you.
Right.
And but then you get out of a relationship with them, and then you look back, or you have conversations with them after the relationship is over, and you like, this person never liked me.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I love, but every time you got a chance to dig in, you dug in, and you've been like, hey, how could that be possible? Especially if you spend years with this person.
Yeah, that's like,
and then you look up and you're like, oh, I hate you the whole time. Yeah. I never said you never said too. That is a thing.
A later episode we'll
Yeah, we can say that later. But that is a thing. And when I tell you, hey, right in your own home. I mean, I think a lot of people go through that in marriage too. You know, especially with narcissists. Like, we're gonna get into that. That's the thing. Because once they can't control you, or you have the audacity to leave, or the audacity to say no to something, everything goes downhill. It's crazy. And then you be like, oh, all the love went out the door. You be like, is this for real? And so you're trying to figure that out in your last remaining time with that person. And this is the craziest thing. We start discovering stuff, and that's when you get to the point where you're like, okay, I gotta go. This person. It's shocking, though. Yeah. It's shocking.
Well, I can say that to me, I've heard that there was a possibility that people could be in a relationship with you and not like it. Fortunately, and I guess knock on wood and thank you, Jesus, that I've not been a victim of that. Yeah. I've been married for 32 years. Yeah. My wife and I can truly say that she loves me and I love her because we put up with each other's shortcomings without issue, you know. So 32 years and I have more happy times than not. I think it's a good sign of a good relationship. But while I would hate to be one in a relationship where I give my all, because I do. When I love you, I love you, and when I don't, I don't. Yeah, right. So there's not going to be a middle ground for me. But for someone to have you stuck in that middle ground for so long and keep you wondering,
and you don't know until you know. I never knew until I left. Sure. And then you look back and you be like, this person hated me, because they know you at that point. They know everything you love, everything you hate. They know these things. And you find that they'll find a way to dig at you and then try and justify it. Sure. And you're like, no, but you knew this was important to me, or you know what I mean? Yeah. And it's just a crazy thing. And then they try and hang on to your life to learn more things about you when the relationship is over, to find another reason to get you. You know what I mean? To watch your demise, or watch to see if you're going to fail or not. But the only way I can do that is if I am in contact with you to figure out if you're going to. It's just the craziest thing.
But that's why I'm excited for.
Yeah, so we got to get into the detail of that.
We want more topics to bring it up, and so I'm excited to get into the relationship and marriage episode, because I do want to hear definitely more about Dr. Bob's love story and his marriage story.
Sounds like we need to hear some more about
all of it.
I guess that's that scar tissue you were talking about.
And so, but it's just, again, I asked God to show me,
Oh yeah, and that was my thing. I had some animals too.
Like a boy and boy. It hurt. It was like a gut punch, but it was necessary for like to fully detach. So I'm excited for us to get into it on another episode. This is cursory, introductory kind of thing, but yeah, we'll get into it for sure.
Okay, my last one. What is an unpopular opinion that you have?
Did I have an answer for that?
I have one. Yeah, some of the ones we kind of left out. Well, I'm going to tell you this, and you've heard me say this before, and people think I'm crazy, and I really don't care. I really believe that animals are as important as people. And we talk about this because if I'm driving my car and I see an animal, I'm going to wreck my car. I'm not going to kill this animal because my car is replaceable.
Yeah.
I just feel like every life is so important. No, I don't really have a big thing for insects. Like I'm going to crush a bug if I need to. But I'm not going to kill an animal. I'm going to wreck my car for a squirrel. I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah.
I just feel like, and when people do that, it does something to me. And so, no, I don't feel like you said anything wrong with if I had to choose. I say I'd rather choose the animal than the person.
Mm-hmm.
I think that makes the most logical sense to me. Now, in every situation, no. If the person needs more to me than an animal, then I'm going to choose the person.
Yeah.
But if the animal needs more than a person, I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm going to let go of this animal. And I ain't talking an animal that I own. I got an arbitrary animal, like the little cat, the little kitten that I met today. Oh, it was so cute. But anyway, this little precious little kitten. If somebody was messing with the kitten, I would gladly kill the person to keep the kitten. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to do that. But let me tell you this. I don't know what it is about men and animals, but I don't play when it comes to that. And it was funny because we were here today. When we was in that place and I was playing with the kitten, I was committed. I was already committed to the cow. And so she went on about her business and I thought, and I was saying, oh, where's all over?
I said, ma'am, can I get a
girl, I went outside and I was like, you gonna take this cat home? You're not, sir. I'm just gonna put it in my car and it was gonna come with me. But I don't know something about that for me. And for me, I do feel like people that kill animals should be under the jail. They should be in prison. I believe that's so. I think it's all equal. Mm-hmm. And I just hate when people say to me, oh, that don't make no sense. How could you say that? How could you say an animal is more? I don't think they're more important than a human. I don't think that. But I do think that this is important. And I'm going to always treat it that way. And so that's my unpopular thing.
Go ahead, Dr. Bob. I'm still pontificating.
Well, I'll be honest and tell you that I'm contemplating and I'm kind of torn between exposing something extremely personal or just keeping the surface level.
I know people gonna come for me already, but I don't care. We are weird.
Yeah, I'm kind of weird in a way, and I don't think. Well, I know people don't fully understand who I am and why I am the way that I am, and I get that.
Yeah.
So certain things I just keep to myself until I can pretty much determine how it's going to go over within a crowd. So
right. Until I don't care. Yeah. And I don't. But go ahead. I do what I don't. You know, I am who I am. I'm not going to apologize for it. Right. But I do really controversial if you don't have to. Some people just aren't ready for that. I agree. Now, I will share this with you. Okay. I think highly of me. Of course. But it comes over sometimes as cocky, arrogant, and maybe even unkind. And my opinion of me is quite high, no matter what other people think. You know, if you don't think highly of yourself, who will? And that's just the way I live. And I know it can be unpopular among people sometimes. Especially among people who are who don't have that confidence within themselves. How dare you be that? Exactly. How dare you be like that? You are. Yes. Why do you think you're that great? I just am. Look. Yeah, people don't like that. I'm gonna say it's unpopular in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. Like, no matter how cocky you are, they don't want you to show it. Like, yeah, they know. How dare you be? Like, sit down. Like,
I think the only people who have an issue with that, though, honestly, are people who it's reflecting something in them that they don't feel.
And it's a lot of people.
And so, and it is a lot of people. And so, because I've met you, and I don't there's nothing about the way you present that's offensive.
Well, it's because you don't have that issue.
Right.
You know
Yeah.
what I
That's
mean?
what I mean.
Yeah, that's what it is. But you go into a place of a bunch of people,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's shocking the way they do that.
Perceive things, yeah.
Yeah. And we've been victims of that a lot. That's
Well,
crazy.
what I would say about that in it is, it's like I feel like I'm in a minefield a little bit. Like, don't want to step on this yet. But I feel that presents mostly, honestly, in work situations where maybe I'm one of the few minorities. Because when you say it with your chest, and I'm a very affable, get along with everyone type of a person, but for some reason, if you don't fit a trope or a particular stereotype that people have of you, they want to force it anyway, and so you could quickly be labeled as, not that anybody would ever say it out loud, but the uppity Negro.
Oh,
It's something you will. Some people will say it out loud.
When you walk up, right?
Yeah.
And like
whatever that is.
And I'm not a person that's in a meeting that just likes to hear myself speak.
Me either.
And so I can get pulled to stuff like, you should say more. And
Yeah.
when I say something,
And pause out individually, be like, what do you got to say? I'm like, I don't have nothing to say. That's me.
when I say what I have to say, now there's,
Yes.
It's what I do. Yeah.
And so it's
That's why you're quiet anyway.
so it's that. Or if I say something, and you fall on your sword, because if you ask me a question, I'm gonna speak directly to. I'm not gonna kind of tap in around and give you an honest answer. And then you have the colleagues that are, messaging, oh, I'm glad you said something.
Right. But you better know, once you get a talk or they still be back there texting you. Like, everybody speak up so we can all be in this together.
But yeah, so to your point, the confidence thing, and it's not even, I don't think you present as arrogant at all. I think, for whatever reason, sometimes we show up in these spaces and there's like this attitude that we should be grateful that
but they
spaces. And
they expect you to because I was thinking a situation that I remember you being in. It was like when he was under attack the whole time, they thought he was going to come to work the next day and be this beaten down. Like, no. And then so they ask you how you are. He always say, excellent always. They're looking like, ain't no way in the world you're excellent. Like, how you going to still come up in here? Like, the whole purpose was to beat him down. And he had the audacity to still roll up in every day like nothing was happening. Oh, one thing people were mad. It was that thing. Because that's what it was. They was going to bring them uppity Negro down. And it just could not happen. And man, people just don't understand. If you love yourself, like it ain't nothing. Please. For me, nobody else has to be for me. No one else does. So. But we're going to get into that too, because I do want to get into how they treat us. And I do want to get into how specifically they treat Black women too.
Sure, for sure. That's all things to talk about.
Because it's a level of that too. It's a race thing to begin with, but then it becomes a gender thing too. Because they treat men different than women when it comes to Black. I don't know about nobody else's race, so I ain't going to go into that. I'm just going to go to what I know.
My unpopular opinion is, I don't like squash or zucchini or biscuits.
First of all you got to do is roast them. Because you roast vegetables all the time.
Yep.
So, no, I'm just kidding.
I don't like squash or zucchini or biscuits. I don't like them.
Yeah, she does.
I think
that's crazy.
The Garden of Eden, I'm like, if I was walking, I'm like, why would this, Lord, why? Why these? Why this?
Yeah. I mean, you're country. Ain't that be my brother? You're a country girl and not like,
It's like you're cooking a cucumber.
And
it's like,
why cook a cucumber?
Why?
But
why?
I don't know. Like, you get all the other.
That's the unpopular opinion.
Right. Well, you're right. It's
and I said what I said.
Yeah, you don't like avocado. Who doesn't like avocado? Right. Yeah.
Like standing always.
You always stand on the weirdo. Yeah. She didn't like that right now. Like, you talking about all the stuff you roasted, you don't like zucchini?
Any other vegetable.
Yeah. And I don't. I'm not a big vegetable person.
It just has no flavor.
It really doesn't.
What's the point?
It doesn't.
So, Lord,
that's
the Lord when I see him.
Yeah. And see, for me, I'm not a person who really like vegetables. And they have no flavor, and I could get it down. So I eat it.
Well, I'm not gonna be mad at you. I just love squash. Didn't really have a choice growing up. That's what my mom put on the table, and we ate whatever she put on the table. But in my older years, I've kind of shied away from squash. You know. So I understand occasional that.
And I dated a lot when I was vegan. That was it was a thing that was in my dishes. So.
Dr. Roy, you have the next set of questions?
He has the next 3.
So let me lighten it up a little bit because we can easily get to some.
But we wanted to do a lightning round where we ask 5 really fun questions. We wanted to do that.
Well, this one is not necessarily fun, but maybe it'll be a little less emotionally tasking for you. Maybe.
I ain't gonna answer questions.
And I guess maybe not emotionally. This one may be a little emotional to you, depending on your experience.
Okay.
But your house is burning. I guess because
I already
know about that.
How myself? You know,
House is on fire. Yeah. But you only have the opportunity to say one material thing.
I have to think about
what would that one material thing be and why?
Oh, I know it.
Oh, what would it be for you?
It literally just popped into my head. I have a crochet blanket that my grandmother crocheted for me when I was like 7. So yeah, I would grab that. Yeah, that would probably be.
Okay. I do know then. I have my mother's wedding ring.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I have the box and everything came in. I was that.
I know my grandmother's first day.
Yeah.
Just like, I don't know. Yeah.
Nobody knows. Wrap it in the blanket. We'll think it's one.
I do have her first day. She gave it to me to wear.
Yeah, I got it at my mom's funeral.
Yeah.
Oh, that's neat. That's real neat. Yeah. For me, it would be a picture. I have a picture of my mom and dad. And again, you guys, I was born in the 60s. I know that was long before your time.
Wait.
I was born in the 60s on basically on the cotton plantation. That's where we grew up. So we didn't take pictures, and we certainly didn't take a lot of them. So we're not fortunate enough to have captured memories in photos. But I have this one picture of my mom and my dad. I printed it and I have it in my bedroom, and I keep it close to me. So it's, for me, though I know it's just paper in a frame, what it stands for, and I can easily see them watching over me through that picture. So if I had to say just one material thing, that picture would be, I would walk by everything else of value to get to that, to say that one thing.
Wow.
Yeah, that would be my one.
The interesting thing about that, Dr. Bob, is what I've noticed, and I don't know if it's just something as being from, our parents are from the South, and obviously we're from the South as well. I noticed there aren't a lot of pictures from like my grandparents and their era, or even my dad's.
I have any pictures of my grandparents.
So my dad was born in 53.
And
my grandparents were born in the 30s and 40s. So, but when I have family, not family, but friends from up north when I went to school there, and when they post pictures like on Facebook, it goes back like generation. They have all these pictures, and I'm like, what? That's I'm a little jealous. Like,
I seen her picture on her license.
Yeah,
like I know a picture of her.
She had a license.
Yeah, she did. She had a license, and I saw her picture on it, and that's when I realized she was 39 when she died. And I'm just
my God.
Yeah, with 7 kids, but she died. Yeah, and I'm just like, this lady is young, and that's why I'm facing. I was just like, because the funny thing about it, I always thought my grandmother was the lighter one, and we got our color from her, and that my dad was the darker one. Just hearing about them, but that wasn't the case. It was vice versa.
Okay.
Well, I don't know what your experiences were, but for me, the pictures were a luxury.
Yeah.
You couldn't just take pictures. Everybody got a camera now.
Right.
You got to selfie and snap.
That's why I could grab it and keep it moving, but like a picture like that, we wouldn't have it in our phone. You would have to grab that picture and take it. You couldn't just be like, because all your children and stuff might be in your phone. You know?
Yeah. And back then, pictures were like cars today. You know, if you have a nice car, that means you've arrived. You have some level of success. And back then, it was just the ability to take a picture. If you had a camera and film, oh, you
could go get an actual family photo.
Yeah,
dressed up and in that three triangle position everybody's
And of course, we didn't have that. But the picture that I have of my mom and dad were them standing in the yard of the house we used to live on the plantation. So it's where I came from in two different ways, you know. But yes, I came from my mom and dad, but I also came from that plantation that they stood on when they took that picture. And when I think about where I am today, and not to say I don't have aspirations for more or something different, and I dare even say better, but I know that I came from that. And I am where I am today. So it's an amazing thing. Amazing question. So here's the next question, ladies. Can you describe a pivotal moment in your life that shaped who you are today? And we probably touched on one or two of those things, but call it out. Can you describe one specific pivotal moment in your life that shaped who you are today?
I know, and it's not a moment. It was a moment because I've done it so many times at this point in my life. I can't say when the first one was, but I do remember when I just said, I'm just gonna take a chance on me. Like, you know how you settle for things, and like I was saying to my 25-year-old self, waiting to be chosen and all that. And I just said, I'm not gonna do that anymore. I'm not gonna walk into the place and say, this is what I want, give it to me or don't. You know what I mean? And take the fear out of it, because there's fear there that they're gonna be like, no, and then I'm gonna walk out of here and not get what I want. But for a long time, I wasn't brave enough to do it. And so now I just be like, this is what it's gonna be. And I found that when I say that, it's what I say it's gonna be. You know, and so that was pivotal for me. So now that's how I move in my life when I didn't do that before. But when I started saying, when people offer me something, I'm like, no, I don't want that. I want this. And then they feel like I lost my mind, but yet they give it to me. So they're like, well, if they want me, they'll do that. You know what I mean? And because I know I say a lot of stuff sometimes, and I know my friends, you know, it gets on my nerves, just so y'all know. When I say I'm going to do something, and they be like, girl, ain't nobody going to let you in. You know, and I don't like to hear stuff like that. But if I say I'm going to do this, and I'm gonna go in and this is what, and they be like, yeah, right. And I come back and be like, they gave it to that? Yeah, they gave it to that. Because this is what I asked for. But you know, I would have never in the past done that because I was always afraid. I was doing what everybody's supposed to do, taking whatever people give you. But then I said, I'm gonna be my authentic self from now on. Take it or leave it. Because I can go the route of taking whatever I'm given or go the route of asking for what I actually want. And I wasn't doing the asking for what I want. And then somebody said, you know, that's fine too. But I asked for it. You know, and I can't sit back and complain once I get what was given to me when I never asked for what I wanted. And so it was pivotal for me to start asking for what I wanted or even demanding what I wanted and then taking nothing but that or more. You know what I mean? So that's something pivotal in my life that changed who I am and makes me who I am today.
Interesting.
Yeah, I have non-negotiables now. That's what I did before. I have negotiated everything. I ain't doing it.
For me, I can think of two key moments. And I like to think of my life in stages. So in the first stage of my life back on the plantation, I can recall where the plantation owner drove into our yard, which basically was a summons for my dad to come out and see what he wanted. So I could go out there with my dad and just kind of see how they interacted, you know, to learn to be a man like my dad was. And I was just watching. So I went out with him one day and I was watching my dad interact with this guy. And he said to my dad, I think it's about time for you to pull your boys out of school so they can work more in the fields. Well, we were already getting up before everybody was working. As soon as we got home from school, we were getting out of our quote unquote school clothes and getting into our work clothes to go and work Monday through Friday. And then on the weekend we were working.
Wow.
We were always working. And summers there were no vacations. We were working. We were always working. But when that guy told my dad to pull the boys out of school so that we could work more,
Yeah.
that did something to me. It just kind of flipped the switch for me. And I just, I can't tell you how difficult it was for me to interact with people who looked like this guy, who reminded me of this guy in any way. It just bothered the heck out of me. It was very, very pivotal in my life at that time. That is when, even as a teenager, when I can really truly say I experienced hate for the first time.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know what that was.
Yeah.
I mean, we use that term a lot, but I mean, I hate you when we couldn't get what we want, but we really didn't get it. But when that switch was thrown in me that day,
Yeah.
oh, I really meant hate.
Yeah.
And yeah, I really meant that. But another moment
To prosper him. You know what I mean?
yes,
Like, I don't care what your opinion is, patience.
to
That
honor
was
them
not
out.
things.
Right. Yeah.
Who we have to get something. I ain't gonna tell me what you get something to do with my kids.
Yes.
I have the audacity to think that you can say that to me.
Girl, now you
Because I'm
feel
your
me.
man. You know what I mean?
Now you
And
feel
for
me.
me, I would have felt some kind of way. I'm happy your dad didn't, but I would have been in that moment holding my breath like, is he gonna do it?
Yeah.
But you know your dad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
your dad. But you know, I don't know your dad. But for me, if I didn't know, I want to hear the answer. Like, are we not going to go to school? You know what I'm saying? Like, all that would have been in my head. Like, oh my God.
It wasn't in my head. My dad,
You know your dad.
no.
So you know your dad.
Yeah,
Yeah. You do. But the audacity.
But I was floored just to hear that come from this.
That man cares nothing about.
No.
Yeah.
So his prosperity was the only thing that he cared
That's
about.
all that matters.
And he cared for his prosperity so much that our demise
Did not matter.
meant nothing.
No.
It meant nothing.
Okay,
Yeah. So to me, it, even as a teenager, to me, it made me feel like, geez, I'm a slave.
Right.
I'm a slave. I own nothing.
Right.
I live in this man's house and this man's property.
And I can't have any hope for having it.
And I can't have any help. Not only can I not really have hope, but I can't even impact it because it's his decision
Right.
to want to pull me away from
Right.
the one thing that can save me from this situation.
Any possibility.
Yes, it's his decision.
Well,
So can you imagine the hopelessness?
It's so interesting you say that because some years ago I was a literacy tutor, literacy volunteer for Atlanta. And the gentleman I was assigned to was a 77-year-old gentleman, Mr. Pops. And he decided he wanted to learn how to read because his wife had passed away and she had been, had the one who handled the business. And so he was hobbled when she passed, in terms of handling. Now, what was so interesting about that was he was from the Carolinas, and very similar to the story you're telling, his family were sharecroppers. That was very common in the South to help families to be involved in to make it. And it was pretty much a lifelong sentence because you could not get off that. It was very it's impossible. It's impossible. Right. Because the person wasn't really holding the purse strings. They're kind of hobbling you to stay because it's big. Now, anyway, when that gentleman told me his story, which was essentially he got to go to school for a certain amount of time, and then he would have to come out to harvest. Wow. And so that's why there was all these gaps in his learning and his literacy. Makes sense. Now, what was so inspiring about his story was that he was still able to. He retired. He worked in the school system. He was a janitor. He had a beautiful home. He owned his cars. He raised a family, and so it did not stop him. I'm sure it hobbled him in a way, but he still, saw this man walking around. He just seemed like a accomplished elderly gentleman, very well put together, very well spoken, and he just could not read. It did not impact his intelligence whatsoever. And one thing he could do, he could count. He could make some money. Like one thing. So Mr. Cox was very inspiring to me in that way. But to hear that was why he had all these gaps in his learning, that could have been.
Yeah. All you know is do was think it over and be like, well, I'll pull them out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. My dad only had a 6th grade education.
Yeah.
My mom, fortunately, I say fortunately, but it's a tragedy, also had a 10th grade education before they were forced out of school and into full-time labor. I wouldn't even call it a job. It was just labor.
Yeah.
Sun up to sundown, they were working in the field. That's all they knew.
Right.
Now, I will say, thank God for my parents. And it had to have been wisdom from God because they never really experienced it themselves. Because they would always preach to us an education would be the way out of the cotton fields. And for them, I believe, though we didn't have a conversation, I can only believe that they thought a high school diploma was where it was. 'Cause they never spoke to college. They never went. So obviously they had no information about it. But they always told us that an education was the way out of the cotton fields.
Yeah.
So I wasn't the best of students, but I felt like, I could see my way through high school.
Literally see.
Literally see. I saw my way through it. I wasn't the best student by any measure. But once I made it out of high school and then a school saw interest in me and thought that I could attend and be successful in college, I went there and had a few people, pretty much everybody on the campus who worked for the school, to pour into me. It's so important in my mind, for someone who looks like me to go to an HBCU where they take that time to encourage you, where they undergird you and refuse to let you fail.
Right.
Now, don't get me wrong. They will fail you if you don't go to work. But they give you all the scaffolding that you need, whether it's something tangible or whether it's just an encouraging word. These were the people who not only encouraged me on Monday through Friday in class on campus. These were the type of people who will show up at your dorm and take you to church on Sunday. To pour into you on Sunday evening, to take you home with them and give you a home cooked meal, and then show you why you shouldn't stop, trying, or why you should work hard, and to show you that there is something other than the cotton field, that you could be in a position to make decisions for your own future, which was monumental for me. I never thought that. Someone else pulled the strings. I was going to be whatever they said, and that was that. But when they poured into me, it changed my life. So, just like you,
it really sit me down.
Now I can sit down and say, this is what I'm going to do. Or this is what I want to be.
Right.
And I can work towards that, knowing that I can make that happen. And now, even if I don't have everything within myself, obviously I couldn't make myself a doctor. But I knew I had the support around me to make it happen. And man, I tell you, when people I did not grow up with and did not go to church with, did not know at the school, said to me, I'm not going to let you fail, changed my life. Changed my life. And I'm sure Dr. Cat will share with you, ever since then, I see someone who wants something. If you want it and I can help you, I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you. I am going to give back what was given to me because it changed my life. Yes.
And so you pour into people.
Mm-hmm.
Or just be like, this is not it for you, is it? Because that's what I always say to people. This all you want to do? They're like, well, no, okay, well, then what do you do? And then you help them go on a path, and then they get something, and they'll come back and be like, oh, you inspired me to do this. And I'm like, oh. Because I think we get stifled sometimes, and because life be life, and then you can't move forward until somebody pushes you or give you that little bit of support that you need to make you move forward, even during a trying time. And I needed that too. I needed somebody to be like, "We're not gonna let you go." I was like, "Really?" Because I knew I was going on. They were like, "Oh, what's somebody home?" I just ballooned like, "You're not gonna sit down." It's emotional now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll try not to make this one so emotional.
So deep. In a burning house.
Yeah.
We'd have made it.
So think about it, ladies. This is our last official question. We can continue if you like, but what do you think is the most pressing issue facing our society today? And what role do you play in addressing it?
Oh,
Many of us learn in life that what you focus on,
You get what you focus on.
magnifies society today. And what role do you play in addressing it?
What's your answer?
For me, and I guess it's probably because of my experience and the way I have experienced this world that we're in. But right now, it seems like society is at a crossroads again with race relations.
I knew you were going to say that because I thought that one.
Race relations is something we're still battling in 2024. And it's so unfortunate. But as I look at things happening and I consider even the things that have happened to me within this year, we've not learned anything from the past.
No, ain't that great?
We are completely repeating all of the mistakes as a society, the societal mistakes, again, over and over and over. When will we learn to deal with race better? And not just race, that's a huge thing, but race and gender. Yeah.
Yeah, because fundamentally we're human. If you can't recognize that, that's ridiculous. Do we really have to talk about how we're equal as humans? Or do we really talk about that? I don't understand the whole, oh, that's just how we were raised and that was just that generation back. Who cares? Because this is what I believe. I believe as children we are, we get our impressions from our parents and they teach us certain things or our environment teaches us certain things. But when you become an adult, you are totally responsible for what you believe and what you do. So as an adult, you know that we are equal. As an adult, you really have to say yourself, well, because blacks or Hispanics or whoever were second class citizens, they always need to be. It doesn't even enter your mind that that was just a mindset back then. If that is not true to the person, to the race, I thought we really having this conversation.
no, it's not a belief. It's not that you don't believe that. It's what your beliefs serve a purpose. So I need to believe this so that it serves me.
But that's still ridiculous.
Well, yeah, it is. Yeah. But it's because it serves me to believe this way.
I get ignorance.
You can look at someone being a buffoon and being a clown and being in a role in a job and still look at them and say you still get the job because ultimately the objective meets my objective. Right. And so it's not about people not knowing. It's a willful ignorance. It's just what it is. And so that's the end for that eventually. I just really think it's about what you believe. Right. But Commerce, I go back to the fundamental of you still know it's wrong. Even if it meets your agenda, not subconsciously, you know when you get with yourself and your thoughts that is wrong. Now, no, you have to do the right thing just because it's the right thing. No, you can still push it, but you cannot tell me fundamentally as a grown adult with common sense that you know that we're all the same. You know what I mean? And so if you want to go ahead and push that agenda, go ahead. But everything you do, you have to answer for. And I think people don't really care about that or think about that. And that's not a thing. That's a thing for me. Everything I do, I think about, do I want this to come back on me? Do I want to answer for this? I don't care if I do crazy stuff because I know I can do out of the box stuff for myself. But I'm not about to harm somebody else. And that's the thing. Have I harmed people in the past? Of course. Growing up, you learn. But as an adult now and who I am now, I don't want to do any harm. And if I do make decisions or whatever, I have to make sure they don't harm other people. If they harm me, that's different. But other people,
I don't know. I think as America or as the world, our focus is off. We need to get back to being collective, a connectedness, and understand that we all need each other and we all need to work together. We've never really been that.
I was gonna say, when you say get back to, when did this happen?
In my head, it's the same thing. I said, oh, we never really been that way. But that's where we need to be. I think things will work out much better if we just have a fundamental idea of where we want to make our decisions from. But that's what I would say is the most pressing thing. Because I think we forget about humanity in everything. We forget about it.
Well, nothing's new. This is like you were saying, we're back where we started, and it's just these things are cyclical. They happen in different cultures. Somebody wants to be in the position of power, and for somebody to be in a position of power, somebody has to be subjugated. For somebody to win, that means somebody has to lose. So that's and so when people, certain groups see there's an opportunity to gain leverage, they're gonna take it. They're gonna take it. It's human nature, and it's nothing new. This has been happening since the beginning of time. It transcends black and white. It's a human thing.
Oh yeah, because even black skin is better than dark skin.
I know society to where everybody's color is the same. People need to find leverage where I'm above.
Right, okay, I'm light skin. I'm better. You're black.
So, but it definitely.
But you're higher amongst us. Mm-hmm. Not saying that because you're not. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But we get this whole mental and culture thing of, okay, you're higher because of that. But then you step into the white world or into the world, and it's, oh, no, you black. Don't matter. You're black. So you got to get your levels where you can.
Yes, and it is a precarious place to find yourself. Like when I speak to my dad, and Katrina, I'm on the same page. I don't watch the news like that, and that has. I'll be involved to that over the years because it disrupts my peace.
It does.
Well, my dad, he's like on something, every the blow by blow and this and that, and whatever incensing, and the angering thing he wants to like talk about it.
Yeah, I don't know.
But
like, you gotta know what's going on in the world. Everything I need to know, I always know. I always know, and I know enough time to do something. What I don't know, I'm covered.
What I did have to understand from my dad's perspective is he grew up in a very specific time in this country.
Yeah, that's what they did.
It was still Jim Crow South. It was still separated water fountains and bathrooms from places where you could not go in. So when a person like that sees things trending towards, okay, we're moving back to there's a potential where to get that's scary for him. And I have to understand that.
I think with Roe versus Wade. I think with the whole DEI thing, it's like it's down. I mean, it only had about a good 3 years, and now it's like about out. It's just so sad.
My dad told me years and years ago. When I was young and naive, and I was like, affirmative action was still a thing people were talking about, and I was like, I don't want anybody to let me in their school just because, He said, girl, he said, some people are not going to do the right thing unless they make us do the right thing. And that's true, And so still now, so DEI was an example of that.
It was. It's I had to make people do the right thing.
Well, it's thrust upon people and organizations, and then as soon as they did not have to do it, states and organizations included, they dropped it. And so you just see it. And so, it's an interesting place to be. I try not to veer towards the fear of where things are going because I'm like,
I'm not doing.
I'm trusting the Lord.
Right. I'm saying it won't affect me. Not the way y'all think it will. I mean, I'm going for it home.
But it is a precarious place to be. It's a weird place to be because there seems to be no bottom. There seems to be no the more ridiculous, the more we're going to support. The more the support. It gets really crazy. And so when you think about it in that way, it's like you see where things are trending. Just if you've paid attention to history at all, it's like, okay, this will go somewhere very ugly. And so it's that.
I think we all can agree that where society as a whole is headed, we don't want to be.
Sure.
So then what is our responsibility to society to ensure, or at least try to ensure, that we don't go back in? What's our role in the solution?
What would you say?
I felt like I was working on it, and I can, I don't know what I'm going to do. I think this show, first of all, can do that. You know what I mean? We can talk about those things, and then no matter what the platform is, that it's a platform,
Mhm.
and we can bring those things to light. And then with the momentum, we can make a difference in that. For me, I didn't. I've always had a passion for DEI. That was just a thing, but I never put it in the form of DEI. And then when I was able to do it, I was like, oh, this is what I was meant to do. Like, you want to speak for the underdog. You want to talk about, I basically let people be what they want to be and do what they want to do. It doesn't really affect you. So why you gonna have an opinion on it or criminalize it? But why you tell people how to live their lives? That's something that I have an issue with. Because like I was telling you the other day, and I said to you before, I'm very careful with that, knowing how I was treated, knowing how our race was treated. And no, I may not agree with every little thing, but I do feel like we should be allowed to be who we want to be, because once we start with these constraints about you're not good or you're not that because you chose this life, no, we're not doing all that. Like, I'm not about to get into that. And if people are really going to bully you or try and keep you down based on that, that's what I would fight for. So my contribution would be just continue with DEI work.
As a mom, that's what I was speaking to, and
Yeah.
even as an educator, just trying to help these young people, because my answer was that I'm concerned for where these young people are headed, in terms of their mental health and their resiliency and all that, their resilience. And as a mom, I feel like there's a saying that said, right in the corner where you are. So my circle of influence starts with my child, and then my nieces and nephews, my kids, go from there. So I believe I don't have this necessarily global approach to it, but I think it starts there. And also having a voice, Katrina was saying, and Dr. Cap was saying on this show, what we can share and where this may go.
Well, I am excited about the possibilities that this show has for us and the people who view it. I believe that through this and our willingness and boldness to share who we are to our core with the world at large, and giving them an opportunity not only to know us, but in large part to welcome them into our lives. I think that's one step into correcting the issues in the direction that society is headed in. And I love the idea of training our children. That's important. I am a father as well of 3 kids, and I hope I've done a good job at training them, and not just DEI situations, but in just what should be just life situations where everyone is seen as equal, just as we were created by the Heavenly Father. And that we can value people for their values, and should you choose to not appreciate what some people bring to the table, we can not appreciate them for things other than how they look and the color of their skin. I think that's important. So to educate our immediate circle. I tell you, it's been eye opening.
Riveting.
Though I'm only enjoying this, but I'm really coming to know you which is great. I love it. I love it. Thank you for sharing your ideas and thoughts and who you are inwardly. That I'm sure I'll get to learn a lot more.
Yes.
As well as you guys, you will learn a lot more about all 3 of us. And we can't thank you enough for choosing to take part in this journey with us and for us. Continue to follow along so that you can understand who Dr. Fee, Dr. Cat, and Dr. Bob are. And we would love to hear from you, who you are. Please comment in the comments below. Share with us some things about you. You've heard the questions that we've answered. Send in the comments. We'd be glad to hear about it.
Future topics.
Yeah. Future topics would be great. If there's some things that you would like for us to talk about, put it in the comments. Allow us to see that so that we can consider those as well. We want this to be a journey not just for the 3 of us, but for all of us. So we are inviting you to take part in this. Are you up to the task? We're up to hearing from you. Thank you for being a part of this. And please always know we're doctored up.